Hi, and welcome to the Messy Middle, as we've taken to calling ourselves.
Yeah.
I'm Marilyn McKenna, this is Audrey Slade, and we are just two girls having a hell of a good time talking about our weight loss experiences and kind of the messy middle, which is, as we define it, kind of the rest of our lives.
Every day.
Yeah, the day in and day out journey of of having transformed our lives and really turned things around in terms of our own eating and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, so let's go back to the bio portion of this, which is I'm Marilyn McKenna. I'm a writer and a blogger, a mother of four, married to my college sweetheart for 30 years, which he claims is his best 6 years of his life. Like, right?
Oh,
nice
God.
guy, right?
He's a good.
He's joking. For
Wait, I think I.
Yeah.
Oh, Rob.
Oh, Rob.
Oh, Rob.
Yeah, I give him one of those. You're too young to remember
I watched all of the Dick Van Dyke
right?
Show. Are you kidding me?
Rob!
Oh, Rob. That's perfect. Oh.
I always wanted to be. Wait, who was that who did that? That was who played that? Laura Petrie is
Yes.
what I'm remembering her character.
That's her character's name,
Who
and
am I
all I was
blanking
going to
out?
say was Mary Tyler Moore, and it wasn't. Oh God.
Well, somebody's going to write into us and tell us who it was. So.
Well.
So anyway, so I got to the end of my thing, I think. Yeah. So
You're
anyway,
Marilyn.
I am.
You're Marilyn.
All day long.
Every single
so
day.
tell us about you, my
Audrey Slade.
the awesome Audrey.
Oh, I don't know about that. The insane Audrey. It's not alliteration quite, but I am the mother to a very precocious.
She is precocious, I think you can say. Yeah.
Precocious is a pretty good word.
Yeah.
12-year-old, soon to be 13-year-old. And also the wife to a mad scientist who likes to study dirt in waters on boats. So that pretty much sums me up.
Well, you kind of have to do that near the ocean, so it
is a
makes
thing.
sense that he's...
That's where he ends up going.
Yeah.
Is what, but originally from the state of Maine, which, yes.
Also near the ocean.
We do have ocean there. It's true. It's true. And yet we came to this one. Right.
Yeah. Well, ours is better.
It's got some things going for it. It's
Yeah.
neat.
Yeah.
It's neat.
Yeah.
It does bring a lot of warmer weather. I don't have to shovel snow here, so that's...
Well, you can't shovel rain.
No, you can't shovel rain, so I'm in.
Right.
I'm in.
Yeah. Well, so this episode, we're going to talk about kind of what we eat on a day-to-day basis. Because when you've lost 120 pounds, if it comes up in conversation, which I don't know how often it comes up in conversation for you, it comes up because of what I do for work.
Right.
It comes up, people sort of know that about me most of the time. Or if they don't know it about me and somehow it comes up in conversation.
Yep.
Inevitably, they want to know, the two things they ask is how did you do it,
Yep.
and what do you eat? And so we both kind of talked already a little bit about kind of how we did it, but
Right.
let's talk about what do you eat?
Well, I had to rethink what my comfort foods were.
Yeah.
That's number one. First thing I had to do was kind of understand what I did with food. And most of what I did with food was consume it just because it made me feel better at that time. So
Yeah.
the first thing I had to do was find a new thing that I could love. And so my day typically starts with fruit. Fruit and coffee is really where I start.
Yeah.
Fruit is my go-to. I love watermelon like it's going out of style. If I were to get a, ironic hipster tattoo, it would be of a watermelon.
But only if it were ironic.
Oh, well, sure. You don't want
Yeah.
any of those, serious watermelon tattoos. That was
Serious
ridiculous.
watermelon
Well, absolutely. It's artistry. But watermelon became one of my go-tos.
Yeah.
So I eat a lot of that. I had to learn to eat some protein, so a lot of lean meats, eggs, egg whites in particular. But this all sounds so boring when you say it like this.
It is kind of, it's not very sexy.
It's not sexy, but what it does, I learned to find a lot of comfort and control in the predictability.
Yeah.
Lean meats, vegetables, fruit.
Yeah.
Imagine this. If you fuel your body with the things that it needs,
Yeah.
it performs better.
Yeah.
And so on the day-to-day, I don't drink soda.
Yeah.
I
I haven't had a soda in almost 9 years.
Yeah.
And I was a horrible Diet Coke addict.
I was a Diet Coke addict
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
I would be the person that would go in
Did you
and
go
get the double
cold turkey?
Yeah, I had to.
Yeah, I did too.
I've had some relapses because sometimes it's just that it's the siren song.
I've
of
had
a Diet
substitute
Coke.
things that have occasionally filled that void for me, but things like, flavored water kind of things and stuff that I've sort of every once in a while gotten like really, really attached to. And then I just like, I'm just going back to water.
I like the carbonation,
I know.
but ultimately I like coffee.
Yeah. Well, that's different, isn't it? I mean, can we just...
Well, but people can also do god-awful things to coffee that can make
no, yeah, none of that stuff.
No, I mean, there's ways that you can make that just a train wreck, but people that would go into, like, come to me like, well, but I have cut out, I'm eating egg whites and I'm eating proteins and salads and la la la. And usually the first two things that I ask people, because they're like, oh, well, I'm not getting anywhere. I'm not losing weight.
Yeah.
Okay, number one, what's on your salad?
Yeah.
Number two, what kind of coffee are you getting?
Right.
Because those are two of the big things that it's like, you can trick yourself into thinking that you are doing everything right. But if you're putting on gobs and gobs of cheese and dressing on your salad, it's not doing you any good.
The typical salad bar has all kinds of stuff on it that, like, they're not even vaguely vegetables, not even remotely vegetables.
Macaroni salad,
right? Jell-O salad, all kinds of, like, what is this stuff? Yeah.
So typically what I eat are the things that you would expect me to eat. I eat a lot of yogurt. I eat a lot of fruit. I eat a lot of lean proteins. I try to stay away from carbs, like, breads and starches and things like that, like the plague. Less because of, I want to go paleo or whatever it is, but more because I know that they're a trigger food for me.
Okay. Well, for me, I mean, bread is always just a vehicle for butter.
Sure.
And same
or
with
peanut
anything
butter.
like rice or don't even get me started on peanut butter.
I know.
I have issues
We should
with
have
peanut butter.
We should have a meeting.
We'll do an entire episode just on nut butters.
Yeah.
I think we could bring almond butter into it because it's a guilty pleasure too.
Oh God, what is it, Justin's?
I can't do that. I can't.
Gosh.
Yeah, it's definitely a trigger thing for me.
We're gonna.
I was talking to my trainer about this because so she's a nutritionist too. So she does my meal plans for me too because I'm doing this bodybuilding thing.
Right.
So there's almond butter on the meal plan. Well, which I thought was going to be okay, but apparently it isn't.
It's not.
Because on now, like, I think 3 occasions, I have gotten into the almond butter and it's set off a, like, chain reaction of then I've eaten some spoonfuls of almond butter and then all of a sudden it's sort of a free-for-all in the pantry. And so I can't have that happen.
It's a trigger food.
Yeah. So I was talking to my trainer about it, like, what am I supposed to do? Because she really wants me to have the healthy fats, right? Mm-hmm. So what we did is we switched up my almond butter, which I was only using in protein shakes. That was the only place I had it, and it was probably 3 or 4 times a week. So we switched it up to avocado instead, if you can believe that.
Heck yeah.
In a shake, like I've never done. Yeah, with vanilla protein powder. Okay, so I'm not going to say it's definitely not going to be like, your ultimate smoothie or anything.
All right.
But it was a way to get the healthy fat in and in a way that doesn't trigger me. Mm-hmm. So, I'll chalk it up to like, one of those things you now you know that about yourself.
Right.
And, I can't pretend that I don't know that almond butter is a trigger for me.
Uh-huh. And do you avoid having any kind of trigger foods in your house in general?
This is why nut butters have always been such a huge problem. Like, I can get rid of Oreos and Doritos and all that other crap that I used to have in my house. No problem, because I can totally, it's completely reasonable for me to ask my family to, if they want to have those kinds of things, have them somewhere else.
Right.
Away from home. But we're not going to have them at home. But, I mean, I run a household with, I have one child still at home, my husband, and they love peanut butter. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I thought I had solved the problem with almond butter because it wasn't a trigger as much as peanut butter is. But now, of course, it has become a trigger,
right?
Which can happen, right?
Oh,
like
sure.
A food that used to just be sort of benign is now all of a sudden a problem. Mm-hmm. So I thought I had solved the problem that way, but apparently I haven't. So what I decided to do instead is I'll take the almond butter out of my diet, and for them I have 2 solutions, and both sound just totally wacky. So, only because I know you're my sister in psychosis
Yes.
that I can tell you this.
And then
I know judgment zone.
No.
So what I do is I buy, there's these tiny little, I think that's like a Skippy or Jif or one of those brands, and it has these little to-go cups, like, right?
Yes.
And it's one serving, it's 2 tablespoons of peanut butter. So I buy those, and that's Connor's peanut butter. So if I want to make a sandwich, I have that, and I just dip, and it's exactly enough to make his, and there's no extra for me to be, like, getting into.
That's brilliant.
So that was my solution to that, and the avocado shake, which I'm not sure if it's really going to grow on me, but for now.
But you're getting the nutrition you need to make your body work, which is really ultimately the goal.
Yeah, because I mean, obviously, it's a healthy fat, and our bodies need healthy fats to function.
Yes, we need fats.
Yeah, that's been
not the enemy.
That's been a huge kind of shift in nutritional thinking in the last couple years.
Yeah.
Really, only that it's been kind of coming to the forefront, and for many of us who were dieting and losing our weight really back in the time when everything was low fat this, low fat that. That's been a huge change.
It's a paradigm shift.
Yeah.
It's really something, and I usually still I have a hard time. Like, I'll go and look at a label because you do become, you have to become a slave to the label.
Yeah.
And I'm as guilty as anyone else. I look for that fat number first.
Yeah.
It's where my brain goes. And you have to really actually look at what's in your food, and your body does actually need fat. Fat isn't necessarily the enemy.
So what's your go-to healthy fats? What do you like?
Avocado.
Yeah.
I will put avocado on...
Right, anything that isn't nailed down.
Anything that isn't nailed down. I've gotten better with coconut oil, using coconut oil to cook.
Yeah, because it has a really high, what do you call it, flash point?
A heat point, I can sear stuff to bits and pieces. And the other thing that I have also started to do more of that I had really shied away from, especially when I was early on in my weight loss. And and I don't regret this either. I focused, of course, on mostly turkey and chicken breast.
Okay.
That's really where I focused a lot of my, if I was going to eat meat, that was what I had. Mm-hmm. Because that's what we're told we should have. It's lean protein. And while I was in the process of losing weight, that was great because it helped me get to my goal. It was, lowering calories and things like that. What I have started to learn, though, is that the more I work out, the more that I expect of my body, there are other things that I need. And I started finding that I was getting bruised and I was getting really beaten up. And I started talking and doing some research, and I was actually becoming a little bit iron deficient.
Oh, okay.
And I started to realize, it's okay to eat red meat.
Yeah.
Red meat's not the enemy either.
Right. I mean, I do.
And I love, and learning to have that love affair. So essentially taking all of the things that we used to know about losing weight, and, you're supposed to eat rice crackers, and you're supposed to eat.
God, yeah.
And you're supposed to eat,
That's its own
turkey.
special kind of hell.
It really is. Those things are god awful.
Yeah.
They're just.
I mean, unless you put, like, peanut butter on them.
Which and at that point.
Right.
I can eat a spoonful of peanut butter. I don't need a rice.
The rice
cake.
cracker is just sort of incidental.
Yeah, it's just that's just a spoon with calories. That's all that is.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. But learning to appreciate the foods that fuel me has probably been the biggest thing. And so when somebody asks me, what do I eat?
Yeah.
I'm a little bit less regimented now. There's certain foods that don't cross my threshold. There's certain things that don't come into my house.
Yeah.
And that is on purpose because I know that they're trigger foods.
Right.
And I think as long as I keep healthy foods in my house, I'm not going to be slipping up that much.
Yeah.
And frankly, my family doesn't need, I'm not depriving my family of anything.
Yeah, that was a huge paradigm shift for me to get over that idea that I was depriving them.
Yep.
Because they couldn't have Doritos in the house. Now, I will say, like, I feel much more in control of those kinds of cravings now.
Yes.
But over the New Year's holiday, so we just have a 16-year-old at home, and I'm all about the nightlife. So for New Year's Eve, I stayed home, and my 16-year-old had a party, and and I stayed home and supervised, and so there were all these leftover chips and stuff, right? And I said to Rob the next morning, I said, we got to get rid of this stuff, you know. He's like, oh, let me just keep the Doritos. I never get to have Doritos. Let me keep. So I threw everything else away, but we kept the nacho cheese Doritos, like the classic, you know,
Doritos.
And I thought, and it was unopened. You know, the kids bring stuff, right? So it was unopened. So I thought, no problem, I can have that around, you know. And it was true. Right up until it wasn't true.
And then not
boom,
true.
It was, yeah. And it was probably, I don't know, 2 or 3 weeks later, but they were still sitting in there unopened. Yeah. And like, for whatever reason, you know, the mood struck me, and there they were, and yikes. They still taste really good, actually.
Yeah, they're freaking delicious.
Damn it.
They're awesome. There's not really
I'm here
anything.
to testify.
Yeah, they're great.
That they still taste really good.
And but it's knowing that it's a trigger food, and knowing that it's there, and
knowing that you can't predict when
it's gonna hit,
when the moment of uncontrollable craving is gonna hit. Because I'm good, and then I'm not good.
Yeah, and when you're not good,
yeah, and then it's gone. You know, and my, you know, my willpower, or whatever you want to call it, just evaporates, and all of a sudden there I am faced with the Doritos, and they won that round.
Yeah.
So you know, whatever, I ate the half the bag, and then I like came to my senses, and I threw the rest away,
but
and
you stopped
I moved
at half
on.
a bag. I mean, and I'm not being sarcastic.
Yeah.
You stopped at half a bag.
I stopped at half a bag,
and that takes as much.
It was
control.
a big bag, though. Can I say?
Yes. I'm still giving this one to you. I'm still giving it to you, because I'm pretty sure that if push came to shove, you could have done something. But it's learning to advocate for yourself. But just not only that, nobody needs this stuff.
Right.
It's not that it's not fun for a treat, and that it's not fun for every now and then.
Right.
But you know, I'm not depriving my child of anything if I choose not to have Oreos in the house.
Right.
I'm not ruining somebody's day if I say, you know what, I really don't want to go get pizza tonight.
Yeah.
You're okay. It's, you know, food is supposed to be about fueling yourself, and yes, it's obviously a very pleasurable thing, and you should take pleasure in it. It's wonderful, but it's just kind of also redefining what that pleasure is. Part of the enjoyment for me has started to become how I feel afterwards. And it's okay to stock your pantry in a way that is going to help support you. Yeah. And it's okay when you have those moments when you eat half a bag of Doritos. It's okay, because our life is not going to be, you know, made or, it's not going to be make or break in that one moment. Yeah. And that's the big thing that I think, honestly, I want to tell people, it doesn't matter what you eat as long as you eat in a way that is sensible. Yeah. And literally that makes sense, because as long as you get to a place where you're like, I'm not doing this just because, oh my God, there's a bag of Doritos and I've got to eat that bag of Doritos. Not because you're hungry, not because of whatever it is. You're just like, I just have to have that. If you can start to control that a little bit and kind of be a little bit more aware of it, you're going to start to make better choices, and you're going to feel better afterwards, because eating is also something that should make you feel good after the fact.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. And I think we lose track of that. We're so used to eating until we kind of hate ourselves.
In the moment, yeah. In that moment of instant gratification. Okay, so I know that you and I are both doing Weight Watchers right now. Yes. So you like the new program, the Smart Points and Beyond the Scale and all that. And so if somebody asked you, you know, is this a good way for me to lose weight? Like, what would you say?
I'd say it's worth a shot. Yeah. I would absolutely say it. And I mean, the very first time that I ever did Weight Watchers, I was in college. And the program at the time didn't work for me. It really didn't. And so I, for the longest time, was one of those people that was like, oh, Weight Watchers doesn't work. Yeah. Because there was almost too much flexibility for me at the time. Oh, okay. And it didn't work. So then when I finally decided to go back, I went back right before Points Plus happened. And anybody who's done Weight Watchers knows there's a whole variety of different names.
Lots of different points.
A lot of different points.
Points to count.
And I started to discover that it wasn't as much about the points, and it wasn't as much about what I was necessarily eating, but it was changing my mindset. And part of being in that mindset was the support.
Yeah, we
You
both
have to have
really
the
like
support.
the meetings. We really do.
The meetings is what it comes down to.
Yeah.
But, and I brought this. I brought my bling.
Oh, that's so cute. Okay, so tell us what this is.
Well, so
Because not everyone can
not
see
everyone
us.
can see us. So this is my bling ring right here.
It's a key ring
with charms that you get and that you earn actually with Weight Watchers.
You have a lot.
I do, and I've actually lost some over the.
No. Oh,
Yeah,
that must be
sometimes they fall over.
heartbreaking.
It is. So there's the one that I got for when I hit my goal.
Nice.
And then there's the one that I got for when I was made lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's my 25-pound award, my 50-pound award, and my 100-pound award.
Mm-hmm.
So
and then they do sort of like little special.
little
Kind
extra
of-
bling. It's amazing how much I can be motivated by little pieces of metal. But
But each one means something. It has a lot of significance
It does,
too, and
and-
it marks an achievement that for you.
and you celebrate it with other people that are going
Yeah.
through a similar struggle.
Right.
And that's a really powerful thing. So
Right.
one of the things that made Weight Watchers good for me is that I got to go to the meetings. Mm-hmm. And when I went to the meetings, I got to be around other people that helped energize me.
Right.
And
And they care whether
And
or
they
not
care.
you show up.
and they
right?
notice.
And
So you're accountable.
Right.
And there is something about knowing that I have to weigh in.
Yeah.
And it turns out that's the accountability that I really needed. And this last time was the charm for me. I've now been lifetime for almost 3 years.
Woohoo.
Yeah, it's
Nice.
pretty exciting. But I love the program, and I love Points Plus. Smart Points, which is the new one.
Yeah.
And because it emphasizes proteins, it's not just calories or.
It's sort of,
calories are
I
bad.
hate to use this word, but it's sort of rewards, if you will,
Yeah.
lean protein, healthy fat, and high fiber vegetables, which
Uh-huh.
is what that's what I'm all about. Those
Yep.
three things. Like if I just eat those three things, I don't mean just eat those three things. What I mean is like
Yeah.
I prioritize those three things.
Yeah.
And it's amazing how closely aligned that is with what Weight Watchers is doing.
Yes.
Like, all the time. So
Well-
this is what they're steering us towards, sort of gently, but with the points, that's the way it works, right?
Yeah.
Is that if you choose foods that are like that, then you're going to use up.
You get more food.
Right.
You get more food.
What's
Let's
wrong
be
with
real.
that?
You get more food
Yeah.
if you choose better. And I loved it. Right now, they put a bounty on sugar, on processed sugars. Mm-hmm. I mean, it makes so much sense. I mean, if you had a choice between, I could have a 3-ounce serving of shrimp for 1 point.
Right.
And then, or I could have a 1 can of soda
Yeah.
for 9.
Yeah.
It's
No-brainer.
It becomes a no-brainer.
Yeah.
So anyway, I love it, but that's also because I love the support.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily for everybody, but I tell
Right.
everybody to give it a shot, just to go in through the door, just to see
Yeah.
what it's like.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and obviously people ask me about different weight loss programs and stuff all the time too. And while I like Weight Watchers a lot, if you're not in the right place for this to work in your life, and if
Right.
it doesn't work with your lifestyle or whatever, then that's just, it isn't a failure. It isn't your failure. It just isn't a good fit. It
Right.
just isn't a good match for you. It's sort of a square hole round peg problem.
Yeah.
So
And that's okay.
yeah, but what you and I have talked about before is that whatever the system or the diet or the eating plan is, that's really just the how of
Right.
weight loss. It's not the why.
Yep.
And the why is everything. You have to understand what your own personal why is. Why are you doing this?
Yeah.
Because there are going to be so many times when you come up against obstacles, you have, you don't feel like, doing your meal prep, or you don't feel like counting points, or you just, you're sort of ambivalent about it.
Uh-huh.
And of course, I mean, that can lead to, a momentary lapse or a very long kind of relapse.
Yeah.
But if you understand why this is important to you. It really transforms it from something that you feel like you should do, that you ought to do, that people are nagging you to do, that your doctors told you need to do, to something that you want to do.
Right.
And you want it for yourself. You've talked about in a previous podcast, you talked about the fact that Alyssa was really your daughter was a huge motivator to you.
Absolutely.
And to me, I mean, my own kind of personal why was after a rock bottom experience, kind of coming to the realization that I wasn't put on this earth to be fat and miserable for the rest of my life. I just knew I wasn't. And if I knew that to be true, then I had to ask myself, what would happiness look like if I got to define it for myself, rather than trying to fulfill everybody else's needs all the time. And that, understanding that I deserved a better life was my why. And it still is my why every single day. So, it's, the counting points and even, all the other stuff that we do, the regular meal planning and all that kind of stuff. I mean, that's just the sort of implementation. That's
the mechanics of it.
Yeah.
That's not actually doing it.
Right. That's not what motivates me from the inside out. So anyway.
Well, no plan is going to work for you if you're not willing to work for it.
Yeah.
And that's the nasty truth of it, is that you can have the greatest system in the entire world.
Yeah.
And if you are not in a place where you are ready to make a change, it's not going to work. I mean, I know people who have had gastric bypass surgery.
Yeah.
And sure, they lost a lot of the weight, but they've done almost the impossible and put it back on. And in multiple cases, not just one. And that's because it's not, it's the means, it's the method. It is not necessarily what is holding you back. Because if you're not ready to do it, and you and I know this, I mean,
and if you don't embrace it, like you can't do it begrudgingly.
No, and you can't do it because you're afraid.
Yeah.
Fear is a terrible motivator, it turns out. You have to do it because you want something positive, not because you're afraid of something.
Well, that's just downright brilliant. So.
Oh, well, I learned it from watching you. So, what can I say?
Oh my God. little love fest here. Isn't that awesome?
It's because, well, between the two of us, we have lost an overweight person.
We have lost
a person who
really,
needed to lose weight.
Really needs to go on a diet.
Yeah, they really need to. And you don't do that by, being complacent.
Half-assed?
You can't. Yep.
No, it doesn't happen.
No.
You gotta own it. You gotta be a little bit badass.
Yeah.
Right?
And we are.
Can we just say it?
We're badass.
Hello.
We're badass. And you know what? Anybody who even wants to undertake it, you're badass too.
Yeah, put on your big girl panties.
You gotta put on your big girl panties though, because guess what? It's not always gonna be pretty. Matter of fact, most of the time it's not. It's sneaking tablespoons of peanut butter and eating half a bag of Doritos and still coming out the other side and being like,
anyone who would do that.
No one who does that. So.
But that's the messy middle, right?
It really is. Because you know what? If you were in a car and one of your tires blew out, would you just look at your car and be like, oh, well, screw it. I guess I'm just going to blow out the other 3 tires. No, you wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
You wouldn't do that. And so when you make your mistakes with eating, own it, let it go, move past it, don't blow out the other 3 tires.
Bury the bodies and move on.
Well, I will never say where we bury the bodies, but if we had to, it's there.
I'm here for you, though, if you need a shovel.
Indeed. Thank God. And that's friendship. That's... I won't even tell anyone where to put the bodies. So.
Okay. Well, in the meantime, why don't you tell us where they're going to find us on iTunes?
They're going to find us on iTunes, and they're going to like us, and they're going to subscribe. You want to know why? Because that's what the cool kids are doing.
Oh, really?
I heard that on the street. The kids are talking with their hip lingo, and they're twerking, and they're whipping and nay-naying. They're loving our little podcast. So, see? I'm hip. You're welcome. You don't know what I said.
I am so lost as to what you just said.
Yeah, I don't know either, but I heard my daughter say it once. Okay. Anyway,
I'm going to go with it. Yeah.
Subscribe.
All right.
Find us.
Yeah, so we'll see you next time on the Messy Middle. Bye, everybody.
All right, here's the part where we act wacky and we tell you to subscribe.
Oh, and there's a button that you have to click.
Somewhere.
I can't see it because
In theory.
I'm inside here, but
Yeah.
you're looking at it,
But
so...
the internets have magic, and you subscribe here.